Welcome to the Online Success Journey podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey podcast, Patience.
Welcome to the Online Success Journey podcast. This is episode 394. Make sure you click to subscribe right now so you'll never miss a journey. I post one episode each week and each guest has a fascinating story to tell. Joining us today is Shane Mishler. Is the COO for SD Tech. Shane oversees the daily operations of the company. He partners with the owner to design and implement business strategies, plans, and processes. Hello, Shane.
Good evening, Patience. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. My audience are excited to hear your story. Just start by telling us one thing we are going to learn from you today.
I believe that one thing you will learn from me today is that I find a lot of value in building very healthy, positive relationships with new individuals.
Wow, I can't wait to hear more about that. Let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my audience a little bit about your background? What you did before you started working in this company?
Yeah, of course, I'd be happy to. So, Patience, my very first job, like a lot of individuals, I started in the food service industry. I started off as a dishwasher, and in a very short amount of time, I moved into the kitchen of a steakhouse I worked at. And over the next year, I learned from my coworkers and learned a lot about the business. And I went from being new to the workforce and being new to this restaurant. And I had moved from washing dishes to cooking. And within about a year to a year and a half, I was our lead cook. So I was helping to manage the kitchen staff and keep things running smooth. Over the next 2 years, I grew with the company further and stepped into some general manager role, took on some general manager responsibilities, and I continued working there for, in total, about 5 years. And when I left, I was running every aspect of the restaurant. And so for somebody who was in their early 20s, that was my very first job. I stayed there for 5 years. And I loved nearly every day of it. I got to meet a lot of wonderful people, and I enjoyed cooking, and I enjoyed taking care of individuals and helping them have a good evening. But I switched from that, and I moved into the oil and gas industry and took on an entirely different set of responsibilities and wanted to see what else life had to offer. And so I worked on an oil rig. I did that for a little over 4.5 years, and a very similar story. I started off in an entry-level position, and over the course of the 4.5 years, I moved into a lower management role, and I helped run all of the aspects of the day-to-day operations of the rig. I never enjoyed that job. It was very different. There was not, whereas when I worked in a restaurant, I enjoyed Patience. I enjoyed every day. It was wonderful. It was partnering with people, and I really enjoyed the cooking aspect. It was just amazing. And then with the oil and gas, it was incredibly different. The culture was a very different type of culture. It wasn't about taking care of people. It was very much about making money, and I never enjoyed that. But I learned about myself, and I learned more about the world. And then after 4.5 years, I took a break, and I was in my late 20s. And so I took a break, and I took a year off from work, and I focused on my family and taking care of some personal things that I had been neglecting over the last 10 years. And when I was ready to re-enter into the workforce, I decided that I wanted to once again switch my focus and find something that brought me joy. And so I decided to venture into the tech world and into IT. And I started with a company that supported AT&T. And again, a very similar story. I started there in an entry-level position, taking phone calls and assisting with level 1 tech support. And over the next 11 months, I worked my way into a lead position. I stayed in that position for a short period of time. It was just under 3 months, and then moved into a supervisor role. And then I stayed with this company again for for right around 5 years. And when I left, I was the senior operations manager. And I had gone from taking level 1 calls to managing a call center of about 1,250 employees. And that I enjoyed quite a bit. It was bringing in my passions of connecting with people and helping individuals, and it was bringing in my passion for technology and supporting technology itself. But really, it was about matching technology with individuals to help enhance their lives. So from there, I worked with Kohl's, the department store. I worked in their operations center for about 5 years, and then I met Wes Ulmer, the CEO and founder of SD Tech, and there was a spark between the two of us when we met that I had never felt before. And he had been running his own business for 20 plus years, but it was still very much in the startup stage. And when we met, we didn't know what we could offer each other, but we knew that we wanted to figure it out. So I left the corporate life after a decade of being in it and came to work for a small business where I was the 5th employee. And now over the last 4 years, we've tripled in size and quadrupled our revenue. So it's been pretty wonderful.
Wow. Did you enjoy the journey? Apart from the oil and the gas.
Apart from the oil, but there were still lessons to be learned, even in the oil and gas. But I have absolutely enjoyed my journey, and it is still very far from being over. So it's been amazing to me so far.
Wow. Thank you. What a background, Shane. But why do you do what you do?
So I've spent a lot of time over the last 6 months being asked that question, Patience, and so it's caused me to be quite introspective. Before I ever started working, I'm the oldest of 8 children, and my youngest brother and sister are only 12 years younger than me. So I grew up in a very crowded household. My mother was a single mom for the most part, working between 2 to 3 jobs to try and take care of 8 kids. And being the oldest, I had a lot of responsibilities on my plate from the time I was a young teenager, helping to manage my brothers and sisters. I never really looked at it that way, right? When you're living in the moment, it's just making sure that we all were there for each other and helped each other and tried to help my mom while she took care of us. But I think that gave me a really unique opportunity because I learned to manage 7 different personalities across a wide range of ages. And I did that for just that's what life was. And then so entering into my professional career, I believe that without ever really thinking about it, I was looking for ways to expand upon what I had already been doing. So I've naturally gravitated towards assisting individuals and helping them find their path along their own journey in life. And I think a big piece of that comes from just my upbringing and living in a crowded home where we were all trying to take care of each other.
Thank you. Let's put man aside. How do you know you are successful?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think that all of us judge success very differently. And I think that many of us have very different ideas of what success is. You mentioned about if I've enjoyed my journey so far, with the exception of oil and gas. And I said how there were a lot of lessons that I still learned from that. For me, my personal success, I judge based off of, am I going home happy with the work that I've done? Am I going home happy with the impact that I've had on other people's lives, whether that be from the personal relationships that I've developed from inside our organization or from the professional relationships outside the organization and how our businesses are partnering and helping each other. But ultimately, if I'm going home at the end of the day and I'm happy, then that makes me feel pretty successful.
Thank you. Tell us the highs and the lows of building a company.
Well, Patience, I've experienced quite a few highs while assisting with the development of SD Tech. And some of those are really amazing. Just recently, we were able to partner with a local charity and contribute to assisting underprivileged and sick kids. And that's something that I think provides us with a fantastic high. And we're able to get to a place where we can make contributions like that because of the work that we do day in and day out within our community. And SD Tech, as a business, we provide IT support, we implement IT strategies, and assist with all of the technology needs in with the small businesses and medium-sized businesses in our community. So we get to know the people that we work with. We get to know the people of San Antonio and the greater area. And I think it's amazing when we can take those relationships and assist our communities as a whole. And that's phenomenal and something I really enjoy. Some of the lows are when things, aren't going quite as well, or when we have struggles with the individuals that we're working with. And so I don't mean struggles from a technology standpoint, or the struggles of, sometimes relationship building can be a little bit difficult. But when we get to know the individuals that we work with the way that we do, it can be difficult to watch some of our partners or employees or friends or family struggle and go through difficult times and not be able to control all of the aspects of that and not be able to take care of it for them. And that's a low that I think that we still struggle with, because as a company that's been founded in our community and we've grown over the last 20 years, myself and Wes, we don't intend to, but we end up controlling so many different aspects of our business. And there's things that we just take for granted, that we know the outcome, we know what to expect, we know how things are going to turn out. And so to find ourselves in a position where we don't have that control, it can be a struggle sometimes.
Thank you for sharing. Tell my audience about the magic moment, the day it suddenly all went right for you.
So the day that it suddenly all went right for me was a little over 4 years ago, and it was the day that Wes and I met. I had been helping a close friend of mine. I was acting as his life coach, and he had been struggling for a while. And so I had helped him relocate from the town he was living in, and I helped him find his way to San Antonio, and I had been assisting him. And I was helping him with personal endeavors, and I was helping him with his professional life, and I had been coaching him. And he really wanted me to go to his place of business and meet a couple of the employees that he had really grown fond of. So I had told him no. I had been very busy, and I had told him no, I didn't have time for it, for probably 2 to 3 offers that he had made. And finally one day he was like, Shane, I really would like for you to do this. You've been helping me so much, and I think that it's helped me grow out these relationships. Like, will you please come and meet my team? So I came and met his team, and while I was meeting the people that he wanted to introduce me to, the owner of the company, which happened to be Wes, and my friend was working for SD Tech, I met Wes, and Wes was less than happy with his employee, aka my friend, and they hadn't seen each other in a couple weeks. So Wes wanted to talk to him, but Wes was like, I don't know who this individual is that you've brought into our business. And so I introduced myself to Wes, and Wes said, I don't really get an opportunity to see this employee very much face to face. And so he started to coach him. And when Wes started coaching his employee, I also chimed in, because some of the things that Wes was saying to him had been the same dialogue that I had been sharing with my friend. So Wes and I looked at each other, and we were both caught off guard. It was an interaction we didn't expect. So then we set up lunch, and Wes shared his amazing story with me, the growth of SD Tech, and I shared with him my story, very similar to what I shared with you already, Patient. And there was something about the way that he spoke about SD Tech and what his vision was that I had never heard from another individual. After working for a few businesses that were more corporate, it was very inspiring to hear somebody who had started this homegrown operation and had been focused on it for the entirety of his adult life, and just listening to what he wanted to do and how he wanted to assist more people with technology, and how technology can be a big struggle when you're not familiar with it. And so I appreciated that. And he was telling me how his small operation was giving back to the community, and I really appreciated that. And I was like, wow, this is really interesting, because I had never thought of myself as assisting with the startup. I had been considering starting a business of my own, and there was a spark between the two of us that made us say that, like, we should really consider what we do for each other. And I left the lunch meeting, and I called my wife, and I told her about it, and she was like, this sounds very unique. It sounds really interesting. And she said, if you want to make the life change and move from managing, large operations and switch to working with a team of finance, she fully supported me. And it was very amazing. But every day since then has been learning and growing myself and growing our business. And I've really enjoyed it. Patience, I've really enjoyed it.
Wow. As you said, you have been learning. What have you learned from a business, you and Wes as a whole?
Oh, as a whole, I would say one of the things that we've learned is we've learned to identify what it is what we're good at. And so for us, one of the things that we're good at is assisting business owners who have multiple locations in bringing those locations together. And we use technology to make it easy to manage multiple sites. And we make that easier on the business owner, which is, to me, that one learning on its own wasn't life altering, but after we realized that that's what we did a really good job at, of course we focused on identifying business owners that we'd be able to assist and things like that. But ultimately we looked inwards and we found that if we are really good at assisting business owners with managing multiple locations, what would stop us from becoming a business that had multiple locations? And in 20 years, our clients range far and wide across the United States. We cover nearly the full U.S., and we have clients who are in Canada as well. But all of our base of operations has only been in San Antonio, Texas. So we focused on our key learning, what it is that we do to standardize business practices for other individuals and how that has assisted them in growing. And we focused on standardizing our own business practices. And a little over a year and a half ago, we franchised our operations. And about 6 months ago, we onboarded our first franchisee. And so now we are expanding our operations based off of the key learnings that we've had while assisting our clients.
Thank you. Tell us how to build relationships with the clients for a long-term growth.
Patience, I believe that there's a lot of different ways that we focus on building relationships with clientele. And for me, the most successful way that I found to build relationships from a professional standpoint is very similar to how I approach relationships from a personal standpoint. I think on a personal level, the majority of us approach relationships in a very similar manner. We look for individuals that we get along with. Once we've identified a couple of commonalities between ourselves and somebody else, we will oftentimes have lunch together or go for tea or coffee, and we get to know each other. And then we focus on our hobbies and what we can do to support one another. I think that professionally, oftentimes people have a very different approach from professional relationship building. And many individuals will look to, what can you do for me? What can I do for you? And it becomes much more transactional. For me, I focus on my professional relationship building the same way I do the personal. I like to get to know my potential clients. I want to know what are they happy with? What makes them happy with their day-to-day? What do they feel they do a good job with? Why are their clients happy to get them? I want to know about their struggles. I want to know, what makes them less happy in the day, what makes them feel less successful. And then I like to have lunch with them. I like to enjoy food and find those commonalities. And then from there, once we have a good understanding of who we are, then we look for ways to partner and to assist one another and to help each other grow our businesses. And I believe that by focusing on the relationship aspect prior to what can you do for me or what can I do for you, we become a little bit more invested in each other as people, which makes it easier to invest in each other's businesses. And I think that when we're able to do that successfully, it leads to very, very good, long-lasting relationships.
Wow. Well said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because others are just in there to say, what is in it for me? What is in it for you? They are not really seeing it that way. Wow. Thank you for sharing. In your businesses, do you have a mentor or a coach?
So I do have a mentor. I have a couple of mentors. Wes, of course, is a fantastic mentor to me. We are a mentor for each other, depending on what it is we're working with. Wes is who I look to for guidance with technology. He's one of the most incredible people I know. And so when I'm struggling with what new technology are we going to be supporting, or when I'm running into roadblocks, that's my go-to for the focus of our business. But then I also have people from outside our organization. I have now a good friend of mine who I've known for about 15 years on a professional level, who assists me with overcoming challenges when it comes to leading the operations and assisting individuals, employees of mine. She's been fantastic. And so we try and meet typically once every 3 to 4 months. And then I have a life coach who helps keep me on a good path and challenges me with or not day-to-day tasks, but more weekly, and helps me stay goal-oriented. So yeah, absolutely. I believe that having outside people that we can rely on to assist us with our own personal development is incredibly important.
Thank you. Tell my audience how to break into tech without a background in tech. I think it's so hard.
It is incredibly difficult. So for me, I've been fortunate. I've had a background in tech nearly my entire life. I grew up playing early video games and things like that. And so I just became interested and involved. And I've been learning about tech for 30 plus years. So for a person who hasn't been doing that, technology can be very daunting. It can be very difficult. It's not always the easiest or most user friendly. So I would say that your question about how an individual can get into tech, it really comes down to what is it that you're looking to achieve. If you're looking to break into technology because of personal interest, I would say a good place to start is with doing research about basic certifications. It's a great foundation building, like learning about network or security certs. But for a business owner, for somebody that's looking to bring technology in and try and ease some of the pain points that come along with running a business, that's not necessarily what I would recommend. I would recommend in that case finding an individual that you trust or a company that you trust, and find somebody that you can partner with to help you learn more about what technology is out there to support your business needs. So 2 very different paths. If it's personal, I would recommend learning the foundations and growing. I would recommend finding individuals who are doing that, whether it be for a hobby or maybe in a profession. And then if you're doing it to introduce it to your business, I would definitely recommend looking for a good technology partner.
Let's talk about your business. Tell us more about it and who can join you.
Oh, I appreciate that, Patience. So our business, we focus on providing support for other businesses. Basically, all businesses use technology to some degree. Even your podcast, Patience, we are using some type of a computer or a laptop to connect to the browser, and then we're using microphones, and if you have cameras, and there's technology all around even a podcast like this. So we provide technology solutions to all different types of businesses, from small to medium. We have a couple of large businesses that we support, and we get to know who they are and what they do, learn about what services they provide their clients, and then we help identify what technology would best support them. So for the most basic cookie cutter recommendations that we have for the majority of clients is assisting them in spending money the correct way when it comes to getting new computers. We assist with setting up the network and maintaining the network that's going to provide the internet to run the computers. And then we also assist with more advanced things like data backup and recovery, virtualization for when people are taking their offices out of a more standard environment and moving their office into a cloud environment. So we look through a variety of solutions to assist our clients, and then we help implement those solutions, and then we manage the solutions after they've been implemented. So it really varies. We have clients that are in health and medicine, doctors' offices and physicians. I have clients who are a ton of clients that are in real estate. They have a very different need than the medical industry. And then we have a couple of clients that are a little bit more residential, and people who are retiring but want to make sure that their homes are that they're able to access the internet and their computers are working, and that they're able to interface with their family, and whether that's check emails or jump on Zoom calls. And so we just look for ways to make technology easier for our end users.
And how can we connect with you?
We are prominent on LinkedIn at SD-Tech, TECH. You can also visit our website, sd-tech.net. and you can find us on most of the major social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram. But yeah, LinkedIn is typically the easiest way. And yeah, I'm always happy to have conversations. All of our consulting is free. So if you ever just have some general questions or need to know where to start going, we're happy to provide assistance. And yeah, I absolutely love meeting new people, Patient.
Thank you. There will be more from Shane in a moment. If you are encouraged by Shane's journey, please go to my website at onlinesuccessjourney.com. Are you excited about getting your message out to the world through awesome podcast interviews? If you are an author, business owner, or expert, you know how important it is to connect with a wider audience. Podcast interviews are a fantastic way to do just that. But to really shine, you need to be well prepared. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com/coaching and let's chat on Zoom. That's onlinesuccessjourney.com/coaching. Now, Shane, I would love for you to share more with my audience if you're up for it.
I am.
Thank you. Do you watch movies or read books?
I do both, but I watch more movies than books.
Tell us, what is your favorite movie that has some relevance to being an entrepreneur?
Well, it's a fantastic question. I would probably say The Wolf of Wall Street. Not exactly great for everybody, but that is my favorite movie that's relevant to that.
If your business was down to its last $100, how would you invest it?
I would invest it in a lunch with one of my preferred clients.
If you had a little note in your pocket, what would that be?
Remember to smile.
What is your next chapter?
My next chapter is the progression of SD Tech outside of Texas.
Do you feel like you succeeded or like you're only on the way?
I am only on the way.
Will you ever stop?
No, ma'am, never.
As we come to the end of our interview, what additional wisdom would you like to share with our listeners?
Invest time into assisting your local community. No matter where you do business at, whether your business is far-reaching outside of your base of operations, spend time with your community, get to know them or contribute to them. There's a lot of happiness and success that will come along with that.
Remind us how we can connect with you.
You can connect with us on LinkedIn at SD-Tech, or you can find us on the web at sd-tech.net.
Shane, it's been great having you to share your online success journey with us.
Thank you, Patience. Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. Remember, success is a journey. Don't wait. Let's start the journey. Patience and Shane.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to Patience and her guest and want you to know that there are hundreds of episodes available at onlinesuccessjourney.com. Patience would like to thank you for listening to the podcast, and she has a free gift for you on her website, including an audio compilation of her guests' best tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. Additionally, there are special clips of over 250 episodes that have never aired on the podcast and are only available to members of the Online Success Journey. Check the website and click on Join Now to get free and instant access. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps us each chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed on the favorite platform you have to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review the podcast at Apple Podcasts and other sites. We appreciate your help and your willingness to share the journey. One last thing. If you're feeling a bit lost or overwhelmed on your own journey, Patience can help. Check out our coaching sessions on how to set goals and double your productivity while you're at the website. Working with Patience is a great way to get back on the right path. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.